What's up guys, this is Rob Henx and today I'll be showing the Quilter Direct Amp. So what it is the Direct Amp? The Direct Amp, it's a preamp that provides everything for you to have an analog guitar tone with quality for your digital audio workstation or for your console. You can plug straight into the PAs or straight into the mixing board in a live scenario, or you can plug straight into your digital audio workstation, and that's the today's scenario in which I'm gonna show you the sounds and everything we have. So it's plugged straight into the digital audio workstation. So basically what we have here, we have three amp types: Fender, AC15 and JMP. So Fender, it's more cleanish. The AC15, it's more British, a warm distortion, a warm overdrive, I would say. And the GMP, it's a real overdrive distortion tube tone. And here on speaker type, we have the CL80, which stands for like a Selection 7080, V30, and a Jensen. And also you can select the type of the cabinet you are using. So a closed back that has like a deeper bass tone, open back which has like a chestier bass, and sim off. It means the cabinet simulation is off. So let's say if you're using the Direct Amp, you can just put your simulation, the cabinet simulation off, and you can plug into real speakers, because then you are using the real speakers. Okay, so just to have some samples, I'm going to start with the Fender amp type, with speaker type, the CL80, and with the closed back cabinet type. Check that here my gain is at 25%. So now I'm gonna play a little bit with like 50% gain. Now like 75%. And now at full gain. So now that we explored different levels of gain on the Fender, let's go back 25% and let's try the different speakers. Now it's the Fender with the V30 with closed back. CL80. Jensen. Now, 50% of gain. CL80, V30, and with the Jensen. Now exploring the different speaker types, but with open back. The V30 open back, and the Jensen. Let's do the full tour again, but now with 75% of gain on the Fender. So let's go back, closed cabinet type, CL80. V30, Jensen. At 75% gain, I'm gonna keep the same settings, and cabinet type now open back. Going back, vintage 30 now. And the CL80. Several sounds, several different interpretations on a Fender amp. So just playing and tweaking with the speaker type and the cabinet type, you have different layers, different sounds, different colors. And allow me to add and introduce the limiter button. So the limiter will play with the gain. So let's say in a real scenario, if you are using one amplifier, you have the richness of the tube sound on that amp that you are using. So let's say here on the Fender amp, I'm gonna use now the CL80 with an open back, but now I'm gonna engage the limiter. So limiter now it's at 0, it's on. The limiter reduces the amount of gain that you have on your amplifier. So it's almost like playing with your volume knob, but instead of playing with your volume knob into a real amplifier, here we have the limiter button that reduces the amount of distortion that you have on that signal. So playing with the amplifier, I use the limiter as my clean channel, and when I disengage the limiter, I have the full tone, the full guitar tone that I had. So let's say without, so I'm using the limiter as a clean channel. Now let's jump to the British guitar tone we have. So let's say the Vox AC15. So let's go with the same drill. I will start with 25%, later 50%, then 75% of the gain. I'm gonna play, now we are in the AC15, so I'm gonna play with the 3 different speaker types and with closed back and open back. So now 25%, AC15, CL80, closed back. V30, and Jensen. Same drill, but with open back. The V30. And the Jensen with open back. Now the AC15 at 50% gain. So let's go back. CL80, closed back. The vintage 30. And the Jensen. Now with open back. Vintage 30. And Jensen. Now same drill with 75% of gain. So AC15, CL80, closed back. Again, everything at noon, just to hear without coloring with the EQ. Even though the EQ is an active EQ, I will show everything at noon. Then I'm gonna choose one channel and I'm gonna show how the EQ acts. But for now, AC15, CL80, closed back. 75% of gain. Vintage 30. And the Jensen. Same, but now with open back. And hear the nuances of closed back and open back. You can hear really the deeper bass or the chesty bass. Again, I'm playing the same riff over and over just for you to have like a comparison. Don't judge me, please. And the Jensen. Cool. Now I'm gonna show you the British tone, the AC15, but playing with my limiter. So let's say I'm gonna engage my limiter. Here now I'm using the limiter in 50%. I will disengage the limiter. So again, using this unit, I really think the limiter as your clean channel. And when you disengage the limiter, you have the full blast of distortion. Now let's move to the GMP. So this is a full Marshall tone. In this case, since we're gonna have more distortion, I'm gonna play some of my riffs using now the bridge pickup. Before I was using a lace sensor hot gold in the neck position because I really like the single sound with clean tones. With more distortion, I prefer a humbucker, a Seymour Duncan in general. That's what I use. So let's do the same drill, 25% GMP, but CL80 closed back. So I'm gonna play one of the riffs of my album, Horizon, and this song is This Life. Vintage 30. Jensen. Open back, CL80, and pay attention to the difference. Vintage 30. Jensen. Now with more distortion. So Gain, I'm gonna move to 50%. And I'm gonna use the same drill, CL80 closed back. Vintage 30. Jensen. Now I'm gonna show with open back the same speakers. Vintage 30, and again we are in the Marshall GMP, now using the Vintage 30 with open back. Jensen. Now let's move to 75% of gain, GMP, CL80, closed back. Vintage 30. Jensen. Now with open back, CL80, GNP, 75%. Vintage 30. And the Jensen. Now, just to show you the cabinet type simulation off, what you're hearing now, it's a little bit of the camera microphone, so at least you can hear the sound coming from the speakers. I'm gonna play the same thing, but now you're gonna hear the sound straight coming from the Direct Amp. So that's the difference using the simulation, the cabinet simulation off with real speakers and straight in line. If you use straight in line, don't forget to use your favorite impulse response emulator. But in this case, the Direct Amp has already three types of cabinets, which is the CL80, the Vintage 30 and the Jensen. And you can choose the option of closed back and open back, which is amazing. It's lots of options, lots of colors, lots of different sounds. So now I'm gonna play with bass, middle, treble, just for you to hear the difference. was the mid, now the bass. And the treble. I'm gonna switch to the Fender amp type using the V30 and a closed back, just show the reverb. So all the time my reverb was at 50%, now at 0. %. At max. So you could hear that with the Direct Amp we have a variety, a huge range of sounds that we can combine using 3 amplifiers, 3 cabinets, and closed back and open back in the cabinet. Playing with the limiter function, you can have lots of options when using like one amplifier, like a cleaner sound in that amplifier or a more open and distorted sound, just disengaging the limiter. And don't forget, with the Direct Amp you have one option called the wireless input. So as soon as you engage the wireless input, you can pair with your phone, your computer, etc. and you can play your backing tracks for your workshops, your master classes. Even if you're doing like a full presentation just using backing tracks, you can trigger everything just using the Direct Amp. And last but not least, the way I was recording today for you guys was straight out from my left output, because I was recording everything in mono. But you can plug with 2 cables and record everything in stereo. And the headphones output, actually it's a TRS output, so you can plug a stereo cable and you can have a stereo channel. So if you engage the stereo and you use a TRS stereo cable, you can have stereo signal. Thank you very much for staying with me in the review of this amazing unit, the Direct Amp. Check your possibilities, your options. I really believe that this can be something that you can have on your backpack and help you in different scenarios. Stay in touch. Rob Henx, subscribe.